What's up everybody? In this video, we're going to be cooking an easy 3-ingredient steak dinner that you can make at home. Let's get into it. Now we're going to go ahead and get out 2 small potatoes like these ones and just peel their skin off like this. Then once we've peeled our potatoes like this, we can use a knife or a tool like this, which is a French fry maker, just like this, as you can see, to cut our potatoes up into French fries. Then once we've gotten our potatoes to look something like this, we can go ahead and chuck them in a bowl, as well as adding some water, which I'm not going to count as an ingredient, along with salt, because don't really seem like ingredients to me. You can beg to differ, but I'm not going to count salt and water as an ingredient. And we're going to simply soak the potatoes in the water while we prepare our steak. Let's set it to the side. And for our steak, I'm going to use a romp cap, also known as a picanha, and I'm going to pat it dry with a paper towel just like this. We don't need to get all the juices off. I just like, especially if you're taking it straight out of the fridge, to pat it dry with a paper towel. And for the seasoning, we're just going to simply add salt, and you can also add pepper if you want to add another ingredient, but to stay true to this challenge, all I'm going to do is salt. We're also going to do both sides as well as the fat cap. And that's it. That's all of the seasoning for the steak. Now let's get to the cooking. Now before we get to cooking the steak and the potatoes, we're just going to go ahead and take our potatoes out and put them onto a cutting board, just like so. And we're going to go ahead and try to spread these out as evenly as possible, and also pat them dry with a paper towel on both sides. And once we've gotten them as dry as we can go ahead and salt them up just a bit like so. And we're just gonna toss them around a bit so the salt gets everywhere. Now let's take it to the cooking station so that we can cook these up. Now we're gonna go ahead and put this up onto high with a bit of olive oil. I forgot to hit record, but I did put the olive oil in, and that will be our final ingredient. Also, we're gonna be cooking the steak first so that the chips can get some of that steak fat in it. And once our pan has gotten up to a pretty good heat, we're gonna go ahead and get our steak and render off the fat cap. Also, for the cut of steak, you can use anything. My personal favorite is picanha, so I'm gonna use that. But any cut works fine, really, except really bad quality ones. Also, my thermometer broke, so I'm just gonna be trying my best to gauge what medium rare will be. I might not get it perfect, let's see. Now, once we have rendered our fat cap for about 30-40 seconds, we can go ahead and flip it on its first side to start cooking. You can also reverse sear this, but I'm trying to make this pretty beginner friendly, and I'm not trying to add too many complications, so we're just gonna go ahead and pan fry it. You can also add a sauce to your steak fries if you want. I'm trying to make it the least amount of ingredients as possible, so I'm not going to, because that'll probably add like 5 ingredients, but you can do what you want. We can also go ahead and get out a utility like a potato masher to get a bit of a better crust, but you can also just use tongs to push it down like this. Now, as you can see, a lot of smoke is coming up off of the sides. You could turn the heat down. I don't really care, to be honest, so we're just gonna keep it like this. Now, after a few minutes, we're gonna go ahead and flip it just like this. We're also gonna use the finger method because my thermometer's broken. So we're just gonna go ahead and feel it like this. Still feels about rare, so we're gonna give it a bit more time of cooking. Don't judge me if it doesn't go perfect, but this does look pretty juicy. Okay, so my microphone went out at this point, but basically all I was trying to explain is that I was gonna put the chips onto the pan just like so and cook them for a few minutes until they're crispy on the outside and soft on the inside. I also took the steak out right before putting the chips in, which my microphone also went out of charge before that.
Now my microphone has sadly just died, which will make the audio quality pretty bad for the rest of the video, but it's just a downside, I guess.
Now, once we've gotten a certain way through the cooking process, we can go ahead and take the thickest fry that we have and give it a try, but we'll wait for it to cool for a bit. I think it needs about 1 more minute of cooking, so let's continue. Now, a much easier way of doing this would just be to buy store-bought oven-baked ones, but I prefer doing it this way, so we're gonna do it this way. All right, it tastes pretty creamy on the inside, crispy on the outside. Let's turn the heat off and put them onto a plate. Now we're gonna go ahead and have the reveal. How is this steak cooked? I think it might be rare in the middle, maybe a medium on the outside. Let's see. Yeah, the middle does look pretty rare, but let's keep cutting it. Honestly, overall, this steak is pretty well cooked. Maybe just this middle slice could be cooked for a bit longer, but a slice like this does look pretty good. Let's clean up the plate just a little bit like so, and let's give our dish a try. And here it is, the completed steak fries. Let's give it a try. take a piece of steak. I was talking about how the steak was rare. In my opinion, this is actually perfectly cooked. Let's move on to the chips. Soft, creamy, a bit crispy. Could be a bit crispier. Believe me, this tastes 10 times better than it looks. I'm gonna give this an overall 4 steak fries, probably 7, 8 out of 10. But overall, maybe an 8.5 out of 10. This is a really nice dish. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.